Hello, and welcome to another episode of Component Carousel. It is a whole new month, so we have a whole new theme, and I'm really excited for this one. We've been noodling on lots of ideas, and we have come up with the theme of heavy metal burger joint. And the ideas are they're just wonderful. The puns are terrible and great at the same time, and I'm so excited for the guest that we have to kick this whole thing off. Stephen Shaw, also known as Shaw, welcome. How you doing?
Doing good. How's it going?
Doing really good. Do you want to tell the crowd who might not recognize you because you have facial features besides a beard here in real life, but I think your avatar is very um, iconic. So you might want to tell the people who you are, how they might know you, or what you do.
I'm essentially 90% beard, so my avatar is pretty accurate there.
It's pretty
But
fantastic.
yeah, my name's Shaw, Stephen Shaw for long, and I work at CodePen. Been there for a couple years now, just helping out with the UI and making all that happen. And yeah, I do a streaming show called Keyframers with David Khorshid, and we build animations live and kind of talk about code and animation and web development and all that fun stuff. So that's worth checking out if you're into this kind of thing.
Absolutely. I feel like you and David are a bit like pioneers in this whole thing. You've been doing it well before streaming became trendy. Like
Yeah.
it got really trendy and became like a big thing during the pandemic, but you've been doing it for how long now?
We started in 2018. And so
Yeah.
there were a few people that were doing live streams, like Coding Train was a big one at
Yes.
the
Yeah.
time, and a few others. But yeah, it was kind of uncharted territory in a lot of ways. And probably a year after we got going, like it started to pick up, and it's definitely exploded over the past year. But that's been really great to see. There's a lot of room in this space, and we want to see more
But
people.
it's all because of you. I mean, I heard like Ninja saw one of your episodes and he got into it big, right? Like that's kind of how this
I
all
used to have
evolved.
blue hair, and
Yes, yeah, I'm pretty sure that's how this whole thing
still do.
started. No, but like I remember like some of my first days in CodePen, going in and like clicking around and seeing all this cool stuff, and then I would see like this keyframers thing. It was like the cool animation, like a transition thing, and I'm like, why do I keep seeing this keyframers thing? Because everything else is like by like a person named Steve or Brittany, and then all of a sudden keyframers, and so like I found you through CodePen, and
Yeah.
yeah, that was years ago. It was like my early days of CodePen. I don't know how long CodePen's been around, but yeah, you've got staying power, and it's great to. Oh, they're saying you could be a bit louder. Thank you so much
Yeah.
for that feedback, everyone. And let
I,
me
I
turn
pumped
myself
I
down.
pumped up a little bit on my end. I don't know if you
Awesome.
need to adjust it on your side as well.
Cool.
But
Thank you so much, El Suxo. I love that name. It's so good.
yes.
And Steph is in the chat. Abracadabra. Nuha's here. Awesome crowd already. Thank you for coming through. And yeah, so it's a real pleasure to have you on. Your CodePen work alone is fantastic, but also just your streaming work with David and everything else is just so great. So I'm really excited to have you on because we've been kind of joking back and forth with this theme of a heavy metal burger joint. So for the chat and everyone at home, the idea of just, I mean, I don't think I need to explain it. I was going to explain it, but heavy metal burger joint, right? So anything kind of
Yeah.
hard rock, anything heavy metal. Our bar for like that's not heavy metal is real low. We've done just as long as it's got like an electric guitar, we're going with the pun. But
Yeah.
we've settled on the burger joint name of Buns and Roses, and it's just so good. And Shaw, you even whipped up a logo for this, right?
I do. Yeah. There's a link to a uploaded version of it if you need. I posted that in the chat as
Excellent.
well.
Here we go. Chat. Oh. Chat can't see it yet. Hold on. Give me one sec. I'll do a fake drum roll or something. Here we go. Transition.
Double bass roll.
Chat. Yes. Chat. Buns and roses. Yes. It's just like
Yes.
first off, the black burger. at the time it came out and it was like popular and they're putting charcoal and everything, I was like, oh God, but I'm so glad they did so we could have this now. This is the
Right.
moment when it all pays off. So like, ah, so good. And we've got Andy, Ruben, and Liam in the chat. Andy's going to be on later this month, so he's going to be building out a
Oh, nice.
component on the same theme. Great to see you both. So yeah, we've got this awesome logo, and you have an awesome concept. So do you want to explain to the chat what the concept is that we're going to be working on today?
Yeah, so essentially build a burger, but with physics. So instead of just clicking an item on a menu or whatever, let's make it feel real, like you're slapping down ingredients. And so we're going to be using a physics engine for the web called Matter.js, and that's really powerful engine. It's got some rendering to Canvas built in and all that, and it's a lot of fun.
Awesome. I'm really excited. So I have got, let me pull this up here. I have got a React component here, and we can kind of start to make this a bit bigger. There we go. And we're going to be popping it in here. So like I think right now this is pretty much just some boilerplate. I'm going to go ahead and strip that out if that's all right.
Yeah.
Cool. And then yeah, what do we want to start with here?
Uh, well, so integrating matter.js, it is a physics engine and it's got like a rendering to canvas. So we essentially need to make a canvas
Okay.
that matter is going to render to. So in React here in like your burger maker component, you can just make a canvas and give it a ref. So we'll need use ref as well.
Got it. Okay, so we'll pull that in from React. So use ref. You have to spell it correctly for that to work. And I'm going to wrap this in brackets and a return.
Yeah.
Cool. So const, what do we want to call this? Canvas ref?
Just canvas is fine.
Cool.
I always go back
Awesome.
and forth on adding ref or not adding ref, but it doesn't matter too much. And so this is going to just give us a stage essentially for Matter to render to. Do you already have Matter.js
No, I can add
installed?
that right now. So here we go.
Yarn
So
add or npm install Matter-js.
awesome. This one is
Should
yeah,
get
that's our
it
dev.
get it
Let's do
going.
that. All right, that's installing over here. And chat, is the text big enough, or should I go one bigger? Or Shaw, is the text big enough? I think you're seeing it about this
I
good.
I am able to read it with my
Shoot.
magnifying glass. No,
So
it's
let's go
it's
one
fine.
bigger just for the folks at
Yeah,
home.
that's fine. That's fine.
All right, cool. Looks like
Uh,
we are set.
yeah. So we can import matter from matter.js
Awesome.
at the top. We'll actually, probably want to destructure.
Pull
Let's
something out
see.
of it.
Yeah. So instead of import matter, let's import engine and render
Cool.
from there.
Do we
And
want to
those
first?
are capitalized.
Oh, gotcha. Cool. Um, do we want to show off the site? I know I skipped you into the code. Do we want to touch on like the Matter.js docs or anything, or should we just
Uh,
hop to it and kind of show off what it is?
we can show that a little bit. There's a lot of great demos
Yeah.
on the Matter.js site. The docs themselves are a little terse, but if you're following from like a demo, it's relatively easy to copy and paste
Right.
stuff out there.
And
Um,
I think this demo page here, like even just cycling through, kind of gives you like, oh, right, like like it starts to
yeah,
click in your brain, like, oh, I can do this.
yeah,
Oh, right. Like, this is super fun stuff. So here you go, chat. I'm just gonna drop that there if you want to go and look. I like the demo slider, or the one that just is right here that kind of shows off a bunch of them. But just to give the chat a brief idea of like this is the kind of stuff that we're talking about when we're saying 2D physics. It's not, yeah, it's 2D physics. So
Right.
cool.
Yeah. It's basically a bunch of shapes. You can apply gravity, and they can interact. And there's a lot of complex things happening under the hood to make it all feel real. But yeah, it's super powerful and super fun.
Yeah.
You can render some SVG to it as well, and add like sprites and textures and things like that as well.
Awesome.
But we probably won't get that deep into it today, but we are going to look at like chain physics and some other
Nice.
fun stuff to make our burgers nice and floppy.
Awesome.
Um,
You have a high task because Christopher says she is only here for your jokes today. So I will keep my
oh
jokes to a
no.
minimum, and you have the stage.
Well, when I'm teaching, I always get caught up in that
Yeah.
and forget to add the humor. So I will pun up as much as I can. Here.
We got plenty of puns we can add at the end if needed.
Yes.
Cool. So sorry to derail. I just realized like, oh, we didn't really show off what Matter.js is. So
But yeah. If you haven't messed around with it before, those demos are super fun. The whole demos page has a ton of great ones to
yeah,
look at.
awesome.
Uh, all right. So since we are initializing this in React, like we kind of only want this to happen on the initial render. So we want to wrap everything in a use effect for the setup here. To make sure that the canvas element is available, and make sure that we only kind of create this setup once.
Makes sense.
So pass in canvas as the input there. There are a little canvas
Cool.
ref. And then we'll say if canvas.current to just make sure that the canvas DOM element is available.
Makes
And
sense.
then we can set up a renderer. So we're importing render from matter.js.
Right.
So we can say render.create. And then that'll take a object full of some options here. So the first one we'll pass in to it is canvas, and then we'll send in canvas.current as
So
that.
oh, okay.
Yeah. So
Got it. What's it yawning at me for?
oh,
Canvas dot.
do canvas colon canvas.current.
Right. It's an object.
Right. So the property is canvas there,
Yep.
and then canvas.current is what we'll
Makes
send
sense.
in. And then within this options object, there's actually an options property that's another object. There's probably a better way to state all that, but
Okay.
yeah, options, and then we can set width and height, something like width 600, height 600, something around there. Um,
Cool. All right.
and then that should be good. And uh, a renderer isn't really good without like the actual physics engine underneath. So we kind of need to create an engine. And so right above the render.create,
Okay.
let's do engine.create, but save it in a variable. So var engine equals engine.create.
Cool.
And
Should
then
we set the? Does it matter if it's scoped inside this use effect, or is it fine?
for now, this is okay.
Cool.
We'll create a ref for it later so that we can start adding elements to it later
Awesome.
via buttons and things like that. But for now, that'll be fine.
Cool.
And so in the render.create options, give it an engine of engine, or if you not in the actual options, sorry, just right
Cool.
next to canvas.
Okay. So go. This big pop up is really driving me crazy right now. I don't.
Yeah,
So
too many
you could just do
details.
engine is kind of what you're
Yep.
saying, right? Cool.
Yeah, that's fine. That's good. And then, all right. So we've essentially got the basics set up here, but in order for it to actually render, let's see. Oh, okay. We do need to save render.create as a variable. So set that as just var render.
Okay.
And then this will give us kind of our render instance.
Cool.
And so we can say down below that, render the main render, so the class, the render class, dot run render. Yeah. Dot run. Sorry,
Like
dot
that.
run parentheses render. Yeah.
Cool.
Yep.
All right.
Uh,
Should we see
and
something? Should we pop over and check it out, or
I don't know that we're going to get anything
no
interesting
worries?
yet. I think we
Looks like
might
we're
we might at least get
still
our
getting.
canvas, but I don't think anything's going to be rendered to it yet.
Let me make sure our storybook is running. Let me close everything but our storybook. Let's run that.
Did he
Let's
build
make
all of these within Storybook?
That's fun. I'm sorry. You said something. Were you asking?
So all of these are rendered in Storybook. Is how you put them together.
If we can, yeah. Sometimes like we were hitting an API with Louis' component, so we couldn't do it inside Storybook.
Yeah.
Let's try restarting that host and see what that does. It didn't close OBS, so that's good. We're still streaming, I think. So
Uh,
let's try that again. All right, cool. That's good. Yeah, so we try to use Storybook for building it out. It's just a nice way to build out a component, in my opinion,
yeah.
right? Like, um, yeah, especially with React or Vue components, it's a really nice tool. I enjoy it, but sometimes you just have to work on the actual like page itself and just kind of make do. And also
Yeah.
it stops at like if there's some kind of use effect is not defined, I should import that.
This effect is not defined. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
important.
that's on me.
Need that.
Um, it's also like as we're mixing all these different components from each guest, it's like
Yeah.
if something's acting weird, we're at least isolating it with Storybook so that we can kind of see the difference. And that looks like a
Hey, we
600 by
got a
600 thing to
square.
me.
Yeah,
Cool,
that's our canvas, and it's
like it.
it's rendering the default background color. So we
Awesome.
can see that at least. So back in our code, so you've got a renderer, and it's running on kind of the Matter rendering engine. But we do need to create a runner. So from Matter.js, also import something called runner.
Okay,
And this is all really boring setup kind of stuff, but
all good.
it's all necessary to get kind of the loop for running the physics and all that kind of stuff. So down below render.run, add create a new variable var runner, and that'll be runner.create,
Cool.
and no options or anything there.
Okay.
And then down below that, we'll call runner the main runner class. So capital R dot run. And then we'll pass in the runner as the first variable and engine as the second variable. So we're basically telling this looper or this like animation loop of sorts to run this engine.
Okay.
Uh, and then as far as like use effect, you want to pass in like or you want to return a function that kind of tears down everything.
Yeah.
So you can return a function there that just calls runner.stop and engine.destroy. So if this component ever is unmounted, that'll make sure that Matter stops doing what it needs to.
Okay, so that'd be a function.
Well, wrap it in a function because we'll need to call runner.stop and engine.destroy.
Uh,
Yeah, that should get it.
cool.
Might need a semicolon. There you
I
go.
think we're good, right? Yeah. Awesome.
Cool. All right. So we've got very boring setup code with nothing to show for it. So let's at least make some ground because we need something for all these pieces of the burger to land on.
Cool.
And so we can do this within the within the use effect here, because this is not something that needs to be dynamic or anything like that. In fact, we're going to make it static because we don't want it to really interact with the other objects, like getting bounced around or
It's like a
moved away or
table, and
something.
it's just going to be
Right.
solid the whole time.
Yeah.
Cool.
An immovable object.
Nice.
Var ground
You want to
equals.
put this below the runner
You can.
run?
Yeah,
Cool.
you can do it there. That's fine. Because we can add elements to this, like while the animation loop is all running. That's great. And so we actually need to import bodies from matter.
Cool.
So capital
Capital.
B O D I S.
That's very metal in my opinion. I mean, I'm
Yeah,
not the authority on metal. I think Andy in the chat might be able to tell me, but I feel like using bodies. Is it
well,
bodies?
instead of ground, should we
I
name
mean,
it floor then?
I think bodies dot hit the floor is the right. That's
Exactly.
that's metal
Uh,
AF, dude. Sorry,
uh,
stupid. See,
uh,
Christopher, we've got jokes.
we'll
Huh? Is she
deliver.
still here? I hope she's still here.
This
Cool.
burger joint delivers.
Yeah.
So bodies dot rectangle is actually what we want.
Less metal.
Um,
It's a lot less
yeah,
metal.
it's got hard edges, I guess. Dot rectangle. Yeah. Okay. So the way all these bodies are set up in matter is typically the first two parameters are x and y coordinates, and then the next parameters are like width and height.
Awesome.
So let's set this up at we'll start at 0 for the x coordinate.
So it's just this kind of syntax. It's not taking an object
Yep.
or anything. Cool.
Nope. Yeah, just straight params.
Cool.
Yeah, and the little pop up there is showing you those as well.
Yeah.
And
Nothing that it
do
could
it
be
at
memorized. Got it.
like 600.
Cool.
That'll kind of be our bottom there. And
Okay.
then let's make it 1,000 wide. And these are essentially pixels, but it's kind of device
Units,
pixel
right?
ratio
It's
sensitive.
just
Yeah.
a cool.
And then 20
20.
for the height.
Nice.
Just give it a little bit. And then the final parameter is an options object, so that we can pass in a little bit more. So let's pass in another object, and it'll say is static. So is capital S static. Yeah, there you go. True.
Cool.
And this is basically going to kind of exempt it from gravity and things like that. It'll just keep it locked in at
Awesome.
the coordinates.
And Andy in the chat asks, "Can we alias bodies to corpses though?"
Uh,
we really should force all the code to just be aliased in ridiculous ways.
uh, uh,
Oh,
oh boy.
that's like season 5, I think, of this show.
Yeah, to keep the ratings up. Yeah.
Uh,
So now adding an object, like you would think you can just like engine.add or something like that, but for some reason the way that this is set up, it's a completely separate class called composite that we need to
okay.
import from matter.js. And I don't know like all the logistics of like why things are set up this way, but with physics engines, like things are really delicate, and it does involve a lot of math, and so separating things out in these classes, I'm sure is very helpful from
Yeah.
the development side. So composite.add. So we're going to add an object to engine.world. This is kind of the play space that everything
Cool.
is in, and then the second parameter there is an array, so we can pass in multiple,
Oh, that's
but
nice.
we'll pass in ground there.
Cool. And then so we can kind of just call this once and continue to add things to, or yeah, well, cool.
Well,
We'll
we'll be able to call that later to
Got
add
it.
additional things to engine.world. But if we need to add more than
Yeah.
one item at once, this is a great way to do it.
Cool. I'm seeing the thing there that goes
Uh,
most of the way over.
yeah, yeah. So we've got that a little bit there. Let me see. So part of the issue. Let's see. Where is it? So one thing we can do is tell the renderer to kind of adjust the camera angle a little bit.
Oh,
So
okay. So kind of like
The
the view box with an SVG. I can
exactly.
cool.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not as simple of a syntax though. So under under our render.create, so down below that, um, is- let's
Render.create.
say
Okay,
like
I
line
see.
15-ish.
Line 15. Cool.
Yeah, call the main render class again and render.lookat.
Cool.
And then the first parameter is going to be our render engine. Uh,
Wait,
our just render
render.engine
variable.
or no?
Just render. Yeah, sorry.
Okay.
And then this is going to take the second parameter here is going to be an options object or just a object with min and max. So the min, let's do like x negative 300, and the max we'll do x 300. So min is an object with x and
Okay.
y parameters.
Cool. And then do I do a Y here too? I forget if you said.
You can't, yeah. So just y0 is
Okay,
fine,
cool.
just
And
to
then
be
max.
explicit. And then max will also be an object, and we'll say x 300 and y 600, just giving us essentially making it easier for ourselves later down the line, because when we add an object at 0, it kind of automatically centers things based on like the width. So if we're adding it at 0, it's going to appear centered in kind of this viewport.
Oh, that's clever.
So now you can see our ground is beautiful and centered and fine.
It's fantastic.
Very very boring, but
Yes,
let's
Ryan in the chat, we are going to let the bodies hit the floor, and we will allow the chat to say it over and over again. It's perfect.
So yeah, we can actually do that now, just to have something
Awesome.
rendering with the physics. So down below ground, so like line 26, just a var body, and then we'll do another rectangle here. Bodies.rectangle, and let's just set it at 0, 0 for the x and y coordinates,
Okay.
and then let's give it a width of like 200 and a height of like 200, I guess.
Cool.
Make it a square.
And then do we pass the properties object or no?
We don't need to at this point.
Does it
That's
default
good.
to like a physical?
Yeah, right. Is static is kind of the exemption rather than
Got it.
the rule.
And then we have to add it
So
to the composite, right?
exactly. So line 29 there, ground, comma, body. And
Nice.
cue
All right.
music.
Got some physics going.
Nice.
That's cool.
And so you can do that, multiple times. You can add multiple body, duplicating and everything like that. You do have to space them out though, because if you create objects at the same spot, the physics
Just
kind of freak out.
explode. Like when
Exactly.
physics in video games like overlaps and the computer just doesn't know what to do, it just
Yeah.
shoots them 1,000 miles an hour in the opposite
Right.
directions. Is generally my
Polygons everywhere.
yeah.
It's rough.
Cool.
Right. So, we've at least got a physical object in this physics engine, and we've set it all up in React. So this is
Yes.
kind of the the basic setup here, and we'll kind of build off of this.
Awesome.
So lot of boilerplate. Sorry, but
All good.
it's kind of nice to know a little bit about what's happening behind the scenes and what all these little bits are doing.
No, I think you explained it really well. It's really clear to me. So just to kind of like recap in case someone just came in, we set it inside of a usable, like we're instantiating these different classes inside of a use effect so that it's only called once, right? It's not going to
Yeah.
keep re-rendering and keep on calling and instantiating these classes. And we're checking to make sure that the canvas exists. If it doesn't, we're not going to try to add these engines to the canvas, which we are referencing here with a React use ref. And then, yeah, we're pulling in an engine, a render, a runner, bodies, and a composite, and we're creating kind of the playground, and then we're adding things to that playground, right?
Yeah.
Cool. All right, great.
Yeah. So I guess kind of the more interesting thing to do here would be to create a button as kind of our next step. We'll create a button, and we'll make that button add an object to the physics scene so that we can kind of get a feel for how we're going to set up the burger ingredients.
Awesome.
So we are going to need another use ref. So at the top of our component, go ahead and create a const engine equals use ref.
Cool. And then should I just get rid of this var?
No.
Or maybe
Well,
jump with the grab?
it's easier just to reference it as engine within here. But right below that, so like line 11, create a new line, and then just tell it engine dot current. Well, let's see. Is that gonna? Oh, actually, we don't need a reference to the engine. Let's create a reference to the world because the
Okay.
world is really what we care about. So the use ref is just going to be const world equals
Cool.
use ref, and then we'll on line 11 we'll set world.current equals engine.world. Since I'm sure there's a lot more advanced stuff we can do with matter.js by manipulating the engine and gravity and different things like that, but as far as just adding an element to the world, we just need a reference to that world.
Awesome.
All right.
Yeah, great.
So down below this, why don't you copy the body out, that body element.
Copy the body out. Sorry, I'm not sure what you mean.
So like the body that we created, bodies.rectangle.
Oh, got it.
Hit.
So just get rid of that.
Yeah, just copy it, cut it out, and we'll add that dynamically, and be able to add multiple.
Cool.
So create a function, add body, or yeah, body floor, whatever. And then within that, yeah, create a var body, and then we'll say, let's see, we'll have to call composite.add again. Down below that.
Wow,
Hey,
Charlie, sorry, Charlie just subscribed. Charlie Devs, thank you so much for that generous subscription. That's very, very kind. Really appreciate that. Thank you and welcome. You are in the stable. You're officially premium horse, thoroughbred. I think is. We'll figure out the rankings later, but thank you so much. I really appreciate that.
Does she get a feedback?
See, that's why Christopher's here. That's why people. Oh, it's Charles. Hey, how's it going, man? Thank you for coming through. Cool.
Different Charlie. Sorry. Yeah. Yeah. I think feedbacks would be good.
Yeah, I'll work on that merch opportunity.
So right. So now we want to add this body via composite.add, and then so like line 42 probably.
Okay, cool. Composite.
We already have it imported there. Yeah, composite.add, and then we'll say world.current as our first parameter there.
Cool. And then body.
Yeah, but it has to be wrapped in the array.
Yep. Yeah, I got the array.
Yep. And then just create a button in the React stuff that calls that function on click.
On click, and then add body. Cool. Got a little button here. Yes. And we can add multiple. Let's see what happens.
Right.
Oh, look at that. I'm gonna.
Yeah, we created a stack.
See, this is what Matter.js is for. This kind of nonsense, breaking it, crushing a computer is exactly what it's for.
It's surprisingly powerful. Like in terms of how many objects like it can render at a time, and like
at 60 frames per second. Like, I always think like, oh, it's gonna start chugging, but I mean, it's really solid.
Yeah, cool. Once we get into 3D physics with like Canon.js or something like that, then it becomes a little more intensive.
Another Steve who's coming on this month made that awesome the Christmas room.
The Canon.
Yeah, the Christmas Canon room. That just firing off 1,000 3D things, and then your computer starts to really chug. But it's so much fun. Cool.
So yeah, and we could do little things like adding math.random to the x and y coordinates so that it they appear in a little bit different spots and create different stacks. But that's just all things to make that a little more fun. But We can kind of get into creating some ingredients. You think that's a good next step?
Absolutely. Yeah. So
Cool.
do we want to get into next on our list is chain physics. So are we going to touch on that now?
Yes.
Awesome.
Matter has an ability in it to kind of chain elements together. So you can do like a rope bridge kind of effect, or yeah, that's the perfect demo for it. And yeah, it makes it easy to kind of uh, make things a little floppier.
Yeah.
So rather than like making all of our ingredients rectangles, which, whatever, that's fine, but
Yeah.
that's not nearly as exciting as these floppy
Right. Like
floppy chain, like a
a piece
floppy
of
piece of
lettuce
cheese.
doesn't
Yeah,
right, or cheese doesn't behave like a rigid rectangle does.
yeah,
So it's a bit more like these chains. So that's kind of perfect.
exactly.
And like you said, much more fun. Just more fun.
Yeah.
That's what we're going for. Cool.
Uh, this gets a little complex, but we'll
Okay.
we'll we'll step through it and have some fun along the way. So outside of our React component, we can create a function to make this easy because we're gonna make chains for kind of each of the ingredients, and so we want to kind of automate this so that we don't
Okay.
have to like copy it for every ingredient. We can just pass through like certain parameters.
Cool.
Um,
So
so
want to do it up here is what you're saying?
yeah, so function make chain. Um,
Cool. Let me just tweak the volume a little bit. Function make chain. Awesome.
Yeah. And then we'll just kind of make it create a chain, and then we'll work on making that a little more dynamic. So essentially, to create a chain, we have to do kind of several different things. So we create a group,
Okay.
and within that group, we're going to create a stack of rectangles, essentially, that just kind of all group together, and then we're going to chain all of those elements together, or that
Got it. So
stack
it's kind of like
together.
what I just did with creating a bunch of boxes,
Yes.
but we're creating them like in a specific way. We're kind of creating them all at once and then linking them together.
Right.
Cool.
Right.
And then
Uh,
so that chain then becomes like the object itself.
right. Right. And
Cool.
we'll add that chain to the world
Okay.
in order to have that render. So Uh, first thing, so in our matter.js imports, we'll need body, not bodies, just a body for some
Okay.
reason.
Is
Separate
that a
separate
capital
little
still?
class. Yeah. Yep.
Cool.
And then in our make chain function, let's do var group or const group, whatever.
Cool.
Vars are
No one's calling
wonderful.
the const police or anything on you. It's all good.
Good. Good. And we'll say equals body dot next group true.
Next group and then true like that.
True is the parameter, yeah, in the
Cool.
function. Yeah. And I think all this does is just creates a new group. I don't know why it's verbose and set up this way. That's a question for Mr. Matter.js,
Let's get him in
Ms.
here.
Matter.
That's he has to answer for
Um,
his crimes.
please, please do. Um, uh, and then uh, and then we'll create a chain. So we'll say var chain down below that. uh, equals, and we'll need another class from Matter called composites, not composite, composites.
All right, this is it should
Uh,
be a
yeah,
composites dot one or something like just
yeah.
for a composite. Cool. Composites.
And we'll say composites dot stack,
Okay.
and this one, much like rectangle, the x and y is the first parameter, so we can just say 0, comma 0. And then you can see that third parameter there is columns. So let's just say like 5. This is going to be the number of links essentially in our chain.
Oh, got it. All right.
Yeah.
So this number determines how many of these are in the chain. So if that number's 2, it stops here. But if it's 12, it
Right.
just kind of keeps going.
Right.
Oh, that's handy. Cool. I'm with you.
Yeah, this stack is just kind of a way of creating like a group of objects, like a grid of objects essentially. So the fourth parameter is actually the number of rows. So we're doing five columns, and we just
Okay.
want one row. We're not
Got
gonna
it.
create like multiple levels or anything like that.
Right.
And then let's see that column gap and row gap. We can just set those both to 10. So the next two parameters just say 10.
Cool.
I don't think it's particularly
So
relevant
column
there.
gap, row gap, and then callback.
Yep.
We probably don't need that.
Yes. So
We do.
callback we do
Cool.
need, because this is gonna give matter like the actual bodies that we want in this chain, so that we could render
Got
circles or
it.
rectangles or whatever.
Is there just an arrow function
Uh,
here?
yes. That'll be fine. And X and Y are the arguments for that. We will need that.
Cool.
And then from there, we can just return bodies.rectangle. We'll deal with rectangles. It'll make things simple.
Bodies dot rectangle.
Yep.
Cool.
And then the first two parameters are just going to be that X and Y argument that we got.
Cool.
X,
Got
comma,
it. So
Y.
that's the position, and then we're setting the width and the height.
Mhm.
Got it.
And then let's give them a width of just like 50, something
Okay.
like that. Should be good. And then like a height of 20. That's that next parameter.
Cool.
And then for our options object there, as the last parameter, tell it, let's see, collision filter. So do that as what is it, camel case?
Interesting.
Collision filter. And then we'll say that's actually an object. So we'll say group as just the only param there. And this is just
Oh, wow.
to kind of help them all interact with each other in a nice way, rather than like, starting to conflict and freak out and, polygons everywhere or whatever.
Got it.
And then that that should work there. And so now we have a stack of rectangles that are all like, there's just 5 rectangles stacked side by side. And what we need to do now is actually chain those together. So
Okay.
down outside of that, yeah. So line 16, add a new line after that, and we'll say composites.chain. So the composites class again, dot chain.
Got it. So
And then the
I'm
first
now
parameter is going to
processing
be
what you
chain.
just said. So the composites dot stack created the stack, but they're not
Right.
chained.
Right. It just stacks a bunch of elements, and if we add them to the scene, they'll just kind of all fall apart, and that's fine.
Right.
But for what we want them actually linked together, so that your patty isn't falling out of the bun or anything like that. So that first parameter there is actually going to be chain, because that's our chain little
Right.
stack. And then so the other parameters are kind of X and Y offsets that happen, because like that's kind of controlling like where they're chained together, like how the elements are linked together. And it's just kind of a decimal value, like 0 to 1.
Okay.
So something like 0.3 is probably what we want.
So
Um,
is it like, if you can see this
so
example, this
that
looks like
far right chain has more of an overlap. You
right.
can
Those are
see how the elements.
overlapping, but
Mhm.
this is like touching at. So this is more like a
Right.
bike chain, right? Where
Right.
like
So
each
that's
thing.
probably more like the circles are more like a 0 setting,
Cool.
but we want a little bit of overlap. Just visually, it'll help the
Yeah.
way that it looks.
Awesome. All right.
Uh,
So
so the
what?
first parameter there should be like 0.35,
Cool.
and then the next is the X offset or the Y offset. So we'll say 0 there. We
Okay.
don't want them connected
Yeah.
vertically off. And then there's another kind of X offset, I think. So it's like the first element and then how it connects to the next element. So just do like negative 0.35 there. again.
Interesting.
So that they're connected at the same point essentially in each other, and then another 0. Yep.
So it's
And
like
then
left padding and right padding, or left margin, right margin almost?
more like a margin,
Got it.
so
Yeah.
that they're overlapping. It's
Cool.
just kind of inverted there. And then so let's pass in an object as the last parameter. This is
Okay.
just kind of the options, and we'll just say stiffness 1, and this just kind of controls how like stretchy the chain is. We want it to be pretty well held together, and then we'll say length 0.
Cool.
Yeah, and check out the documentation, read into these options and stuff. Like there's fun things to play with it here, but this is kind of how I've worked through it and gotten it to feel right.
Yeah.
And then at the end of our function, let's just return the chain, because they're linked together now. Everything's ready to go.
Cool.
And
And you got make
uh,
chain.
yep. And so now down in our React function, we can do it in add body, or we can add another button. Doesn't matter to me. We can just say, yeah, function add chain,
Cool.
and then yeah, just var chain equals make chain, and then composite.add world.current chain. Because we're just making a general chain in in a variable, but we actually add it to the scene here in this React setup. Add it to the world. Yeah, so you got it.
All right. Let's see if we got it. Yes.
Come on.
Nice.
Hey, beautiful.
And if I add too many at once, it's definitely becoming a chain. That's
Yeah, well,
awesome.
so try like clicking add body and then
That's
add chain.
nice. It is having none of it. This is just. Why is that so fun? Why is that just like there's like a primal thing that likes that like where I enjoy seeing physics stuff. I don't know
Yeah.
why.
I wish physics were easier to do. I really do, because it's so much fun to play around with.
Yeah. Like it's really satisfying when you see an animation
Mhm.
that gets physics right, and you can tell when it's off a little bit, right? Like
Yeah.
you can't put your finger on it, but if there's some like CSS animation or any kind of animation really, and it
Yeah.
didn't follow the laws of physics, you're like, that felt weird.
It's notoriously tough to
Yeah.
do like physics kind of animations in CSS, just because the easing functions, like there's really not that much to do, so that you kind of have to like manually dial in keyframes or whatever to get it to feel really right. But
Yeah.
yeah,
It's like there's like Disney animation where like it's the squish and stretch and all those like fun
yeah,
animation principles, and then there's like real world physics, and then there's like the uncanny valley in the middle. Like you've got to go one or the other sometimes, otherwise it's
yeah.
like that felt strange. And we got Adam Kuhn in the chat. Good to see you.
Yes.
I exist in 3D. I always forget who I exist in 3D is. I am so sorry. I know you really well. I am just so bad with usernames, but thank you for being here. I really appreciate it. Yeah, I'm sorry. You'll have to come in and just say hi. It's me every single time. But thank you for being here. All right, Reese.
So
Thank you, Reese. Sorry, man.
yeah, so we have kind of the essential bits to like start making a burger of sorts. We What we kind of need to do now is adjust our make chain function so that we can kind of pass in some different parameters to make the ingredients like look a little bit different and all that.
Awesome.
One thing we can do before we get into that, back up in our render.create
Okay.
function. I forget where that is. What
Yeah,
line?
right here. Got it.
Yeah. So in the options there, we've got width and height,
Okay.
but we can also pass in some parameters about how things are rendered. So for example, if we pass in a parameter or a property called wireframes false, it will now render these as solid objects.
Oh.
So right now, this is kind of like the debug view where, you
Oh,
get,
that's so cool. Those colors really
yeah,
satisfying.
yeah. Yeah, it kind of
Nice.
randomizes the colors for
Yeah.
bodies that you add if you don't provide actual like options
Cool.
there for it. So now in our like make chain function, we can start to customize these things like the number of links, the width, and height and all that,
Got it.
and make it a little easier for us to make those dynamic.
Cool.
Uh, so back up in make chain. Let's make the main parameter for it just an object, and we'll take in like an x and a y, uh, and width and a height. And let's give those some defaults. So just like x equals 0, y equals 0, width equals like 380, maybe something like that. Pretty big on our stage. We don't want a small burger. And then height, something like 30 is a good kind of
Cool.
like patty size here. And then let's also take in and let's see, links. Links. So we have that as 5 right now. So we'll just uh, yeah, set links to a default of 5. This is
Cool.
kind of the number of columns in our chain, but we'll call them links since we're going with the chain theme. And then and let's say color as well.
Cool.
Um,
In
and
Matter.js, how do we do colors? Is it more like 3JS or is it just hex codes?
it just takes kind of a string
Okay,
because it's
cool.
rendering to canvas. So canvas fill style takes pretty much everything that a normal CSS color value does.
Cool.
So we can do color yellow or something as a string for now, just to get that going. Okay, so we've got var. All right, so the very first line of our function, let's say, let's go ahead and make a variable called link width. So var link width equals width divided by lengths.
Cool.
Links, sorry.
Okay.
And this will, and then this will be used in our kind of callback function, the return bodies.rectangle. Yeah, swap 50 out for link width.
Cool.
And then we'll swap the 20 out with height. We don't need dynamic height for them. They're all going to be the same height there.
Awesome.
And then that'll be good. And then in our options there for the bodies.rectangle, give it a render property, and this is how we control like how the elements are rendered. We'll say render, and then that takes in an object, and we'll say fill style color. Yeah, just like that.
I might have broken it. That's okay. Let's see what. Actually, that is weird. Why is it? Let's see if I'm getting the console error. Cannot read property x of undefined. We have an x and a y. It's getting this x and y.
Yeah, that's fine.
X of undefined. Weird.
Yeah, does it show you what line number that's happening on?
I'll bring it over.
Dev tools.
Oh, I did the wrong thing. I'm trying to make it bigger.
Property x undefined and make chain.
Yeah, 841. So it's not.
Yeah, click into it and let's see if we can figure out what. Oh, maybe it's it may be because we're not passing in an actual object there. So in like our add chain function in the React component, just pass in an object, and
Got it.
that should help just as a temporary thing. So make chain and just an empty object there.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that does make sense because we didn't do anything like this, right?
Right.
That would have solved that, I think.
Yeah, I think it's the other way. Is it?
Yeah.
I don't know.
We can drop it. All good. It's working. Good call on that.
Nice. Yeah. Okay. So we can see that like this isn't centered yet. And so this is kind of different from all the other bodies. Like, they add the body kind of at the center. But because we're creating a stack, it kind of starts the stack at those coordinates and goes out from there.
Got it.
So on line 23, bodies.rectangle, do x minus link width.
Interesting. Huh.
And
Now
this
why?
should,
So x is 0 minus 380 divided by 5. I don't know. What is that, like 50 or something? Not even.
let's see, 380 divided like
Minus link. Oh, but the x is coming from here. Okay, so
so,
that's the position. Got it. Okay.
right.
This
It's just kind of shifting things over.
right. X isn't
Some
this. X is changing each time.
Correct. And
Got
so
it.
for line 22, like for our composites.stack, those first two parameters we need to change out for x, y, and links, so that we can change
Cool.
those later.
Awesome.
Yeah. And then everything else should be good in that for now. So we've got a nice block of cheese there.
Nice.
And so we can kind of just start to like customize ingredients, start adding
Awesome.
functions to kind of create these different ingredients, and we'll customize them as we need.
Should I grab
I'm
this and just?
I'm sending you a list of colors
Oh, brilliant.
that I've sent, that'll help make it easy
It's a
to
solid,
have
fun
the
color you
different
got.
ingredients.
All right. Nice.
Andy in the chat asked, "Does Matter.js let you map an image to these chains?" I don't know if you can map it to the full chain. You can render a sprite on like an actual body. So the rectangle can have like a sprite texture and things like that, but I don't know that you can like render a chain, like an image across the entire chain without like some fancy math kind of
Seems like
involved
you could
there.
probably do like a chain link on each one and therefore make an actual, like, it would look crappy, but it would
Well,
look like a
you can
chain.
specify like a texture offset and like that kind of stuff. So you could probably end up faking it by like, adding the same image to each body in that composite stack using the X and Y offset to kind of
That's cool.
offset that texture as well. But it would be difficult. For something like that, the rendering engine Pixie.js is actually really good for that.
Okay.
I used that for some really fun effects, like an octopus tentacle. That
Nice.
was super fun. Uh,
Drop that in the chat real quick. Just to.
yes, Pixie.js.
Yeah, this one looks really cool. I've never played with it, but the demos for Pixie are super neat looking.
Right. It's another 2D engine, but it's specifically for rendering.
Got
And
it.
even though it's 2D, it actually uses WebGL. So it's
Okay.
really hardware accelerated, and it gives you a lot of options for like how things are filtered. Like you can actually use shaders and things like that on
Cool.
your kind of 2D renders.
Got it.
So yeah, super cool.
Nice.
Let's see. So
Benedict. Thanks for coming, Benedict. Good to see you. Cool. All right.
uh,
So
yeah, let's just kind of duplicate that add chain function, but for each of our ingredients there.
cool. So we've got add. I'll do add cheese. And we have add cheese. And
Right,
then
so
for that,
let's see.
we're
We've
gonna.
got a patty, we've got a cheese, we've got a bun, we've got lettuce and pickles.
Nice.
Yeah, and for now we can just kind of send through the color.
Okay.
As all we need to customize.
Awesome.
Colors.cheese.
Add cheese. Add cheese. So let's just see if that worked. That did not work. How did I
You'll need colors.cheese as the value.
Good call.
From
Thank you.
that object. I think it's all caps.
It is another good call.
Yeah, for my like constants, I'd like to do
that's
that.
Good practice. Nice. Let's see, solid cheese color.
So we got
all right, cool.
Got a little block of cheese there. It's nice.
All right. So add
Delicious.
cheese. We got add lettuce, right?
Hmm.
Colors that lettuce. Then add. If you have a faster way of doing this, I'm happy to learn.
Uh, not specifically. Um, yeah, that's probably about as fast as it can go.
So
Um,
add cheese, add lettuce, add bun.
yes, and eventually we'll add pickles. But
Was there
we
another
can
one?
start with these.
Bun, patty,
Bun.
cheese, pickles, lettuce. Bun. Oh, we need patty, right? Cool.
Yeah.
All right. So add
Okay.
lettuce. Add.
Gotta add relish. Sorry, Charlie. Not going
Sorry,
that.
Charlie.
We're not going that metal. Um,
Whoa, calm down, man.
take it easy.
Dude,
Uh,
too
not into
intense.
that Norwegian stuff.
Add bun and bun. Oh, cool. And add patty. Yep, working on it. React. Just let me live. Add patty. Colors dot patty. All right. That's a decent start at least. Let's see a little bit of the
Yeah.
fun. Nice.
Right. Make us a burger here.
They collided in midair. It's so good. And it's starting to topple. Oh, I'm loving it. Loving it. So good.
So
Oh, and
delicious.
and for the chat, just so you know, the bun is the dark metal style,
Yes.
like the black burger
Charcoal
charcoal. Yeah,
bun. Yeah.
it's a charcoal burger because that is the most metal of cheeseburgers. So
Indeed.
that's why that's that color. Cool.
Well,
All right, we're missing lettuce,
uh,
bun, patty.
yeah, we can do pickles in a bit. Let's kind of customize these a little bit to make them
Shape different.
yeah.
Cool.
So we've got our default width of like 380. We kind of want the bun to be just like a little bit smaller. So like for our add bun function, maybe make it like a width 360 or something like that. And then that'll make the bun a little bit smaller. So make chain width 350 or something.
Cool.
Yeah.
Like that. Just got a
Yeah.
bit of offset.
Right. So
Nice.
that the other elements kind of stack on top. You know,
Yeah,
that
that's
makes
great.
it feel a lot more burger like.
Yeah.
And then for our patty, you know, let's give it like a height of like 30 or 40. I think we our default height is 20. So, you know, let's make the patty nice and thick.
All right, 30. Let's see 30. And Lee is here. Good to see you. Thanks for coming through. We are making a physics-based burger here. Is it bigger? I don't know. Is our height 30 or is our
Maybe
default height is 30? Should we drop that to 20?
uh yeah, drop
Okay.
that to 20 and then we can bump the patty up to like 40.
Cool.
And our bun we'll probably want to make thicker too.
Okay, height 30 for the bun.
Yeah,
Let's try.
yeah,
All
40.
right, so you've got
Yeah.
a bun, then we need a patty, then we need cheese, then we need lettuce, then we need a bun.
Hmm.
There's your burger. It's looking better. It's looking better. The lettuce and cheese are a little
Delicious.
bit thick, maybe, right?
Yeah, we can tone those down a little bit. Just adjust our default to like 10, something like that.
The default,
Um,
cool.
yeah. And that'll work
10.
quite well.
Let's see what we got. Let's see if I can like get into a real flow with this. No, I think cheese has to come. Yeah. Oh no, I got it right. Yeah, you don't put cheese on top of the lettuce. You put the lettuce on top of the cheese. Like we're setting the rules here,
Yes.
right? All right.
Yeah.
Chat can fight me
Uh
on this one, but
we can enforce some
yes,
rules there.
you have standards,
In our
people.
React logic. Um so yeah, so one of the things we can adjust here. So like right now they're just kind of squares, you know, they're rectangles or
Mm-hmm.
whatever, because that's what we've got set up. There's actually an option to kind of round rectangles, so like a border
Cool.
radius or whatever.
Right.
So in our make chain function in the bodies.rectangle,
Yeah.
the options object there, add a property called chamfer, Chamfer.
One of those words that I see in like Blender and stuff, and I go, I wonder what that does, and I keep doing other
Yeah,
stuff. Yeah. All right.
a
Chamfer.
value of like 5,
Okay.
and this is essentially just a border radius of
Everyone's
sorts.
favorite chamfer value. I mean, if you're adding a
Yes.
chamfer, you're gonna put 5 on there.
Yeah, that should
Nice.
work.
That's a
That
lot better. Yeah. That's
should
it's,
make it.
it's
Yeah,
freaking out already.
yeah. There's a lot of fun
I love it.
fun interactions that will start to happen. Um,
So good.
should we make it well, so right now, like you can see the chain links there.
Should the
We
burger
can
be
actually
dead? Like because it's moving around. Like if I put this on your plate, you'd be like, why is that? It's moving. Sorry.
it's delivered on a cruise ship, you know.
That's what it is. That's
There's some yeah.
and yeah, we can
Um
hide the chain links if you would like. That makes sense to
yeah,
me.
so under composites.chain, line
Cool.
37, our options object there, we've got stiffness and we've got length. We can actually add a render here, and this is going to change how the links themselves are rendered. We'll say render fill style null. I don't know that that's necessary. I think it's just a stroke, but we'll make sure that fill style is empty as well. And then stroke style transparent, just in quotes. Yeah, fill style I don't think does anything, but just in case. Both of them
Cool.
should likely be transparent, but that should give us, nice solid
That cheese is acting up.
objects
Look at
there.
that.
Yeah, she's doesn't like being stacked. Oh,
I love
jeez,
it. I love
that's
the
funny.
more it moves and does ridiculous things, the happier I am. Angela says,
Mm,
"Oh man, the lettuce is crawling away again." Yeah, it's
exactly. Oh
so
boy.
good. Awesome. So,
Uh, yeah. So that's the basics of it. We can kind of make it a little more fun too by adding like mouse control, being able to like click the
like I
ingredients and
can
move
throw
them
it
around.
the kind of way that I'm
Yeah.
doing over here, right? Like that. Awesome.
Right. Being able to click on, in case they start getting unwieldy, you wanna make sure that they get in
It's
place.
just more fun to grab a piece of lettuce and fling it around with your mouse. It's great.
Exactly.
Cool.
So we'll need two additional classes
Okay.
from Matter. We'll need mouse and mouse constraint. Both of those capsed
Great.
or title case, whatever. Mouse and mouse constraint. Yep. And then down in our use effect where we're setting all this up, we'll go ahead and add that in there because it can just be in there. That's fine.
What do you mean?
Um,
Set up.
setting it up in our use effect, not outside of it,
Got it.
like with a function or anything like that. So down where we did like our ground, let's add it there.
Reese has a great idea in chat. WebSockets and randomly start food fights with website visitors with other people. That'd be a lot of fun.
I'd like you make a complete burger and it and Tetris style, like the lines go over to somebody else's
Yeah,
burger
yeah,
instance.
that'd be so good.
Uh, we'll get into that in a later episode. I'll put that on Steve.
Any VC money out there, just hit us up. We'll start the new Fortnite is online burger game.
Exactly.
All right,
So let's say var mouse, just lowercase, equals mouse.create.
cool.
And then the parameter there is going to be our canvas. So we can say render.canvas or canvas.current, whatever. But this is kind of what it binds the mouse events to.
Do we have a canvas? Yeah, we do. Sorry.
Yeah,
Right. Yeah, we
should
do.
work.
Cool.
And then create a var mouse constraint, lowercase, just an instance of that class. And we'll say equals mouse constraint, the class dot create. And we'll pass in the engine as the first parameter. So
Cool.
mouse constraint dot create, yeah, and then engine. And then the options there, the next parameter is an options object. We'll say mouse as the mouse. Um,
Cool. Oh, yeah, mouse.
yeah, just mouse. Yeah, and then a constraint property. And this will be an object. And this is kind of like chain. This is going to kind of control like how the objects respond to the mouse. So we can say stiffness like 0.3 or something like that. Kind of how loose your mouse holds on to things, as if it's connected with a string.
Oh, cool.
And let's give that a try. Oh, we need to composite add mouse constraint
Do
in
we
there.
just add it here, like next to ground?
Yeah, you can comma
Cool.
ground comma mouse constraint.
Awesome.
Do it,
All out of
and then
order,
create
but
yourself a
it
burger.
should be able to yank this out maybe. Not working.
Not working, huh? Let's see. Mouse constraint. So instead of canvas.current, do render.canvas. I don't know that should affect it, but so line 72, render.canvas. Let's
No.
see. Canvas
Mouse. Render.canvas.
constraint.
Our render.
Let me make sure I'm not.
Do we need to
missing
add
something.
anything to these rectangles to make them like,
No, it should
interactive?
just should work by default there. Engine.world. So add.
Check if I'm getting any
Okay.
errors.
Yeah. Anything coming up?
Runner.stop is not a function. It was hitting that.
You can comment that out on line 83. Don't know that matters.
Yeah, shouldn't. Yeah, I'm not getting
Oh,
any errors. What's up?
okay. So instead of adding it in the array, so duplicate line 80,
Okay.
and then composite.add engine.world, and send mouse constraint as the parameter without the array around it. I'm not sure. I'm not sure exactly what it's returning there, but it might need to be added directly. That's the only difference between my demo sample, I
Still not
think.
able to move
Oh,
anything.
and render.mouse equals mouse. Sorry.
What's that?
So like under like line 79, our render instance, so lowercase render
Cool.
dot mouse equals mouse. I think this just helps it
There
stay
we
in some.
go. Yeah.
Yeah, we got some. Nice.
All right. Now we're having some
Perfect.
fun.
Now we're
All
making the
right. Now we
burgers.
can just yes. Now it is pure chaos, and I'm having a good time.
Oh,
Grab this cheese. I can't grab that cheese. Excellent. Excellent.
I'm
That's
loving it.
so good. All right.
Awesome.
Cool.
So yeah, I mean, this is kind of all the basics there. There's plenty of ways that we can kind of customize it and make it more fun and fit the theme and all that kind of stuff. But I think this is probably a good spot to leave it.
Okay.
Unless there's anything else you wanna add to it.
Let's if you don't mind, let's so add body. I think we can get rid of that button.
Yeah,
Let me just kill
yeah,
that
we
off.
can get rid of that.
And just quickly style out the buttons a little bit so they're not just
Yeah,
like
yeah.
strings of text.
Give them a class, and I'll walk you through some styles on that.
Should they all get the same class?
Yeah,
Cool. Just one.
and
Do you have a
wrap
quick?
them in like a container div.
Cool. Equals
Well, it need to be
button.
class name. Yeah, class name.
The cleverest of class names. Let's go. Cool. And then so that should be set there. Let me just And you said the div.
And yeah,
You want to just
wrap
call it
them.
wrapper?
Yeah, that's fine. Button
Cool.
wrapper, whatever.
And I do need to, because the way we're scoping this is just burger maker. Because like Next has you scope things with CSS modules, but
Hmm.
doing that wrapper, it might be a taken thing, but we can overwrite it. It's fine. Doing that with like just having to import it. I'm not sure if you're familiar. It's really great, but like having to walk people through it is it can be a bit of a pain. So we're just scoping CSS the old-fashioned way of just doing everything inside this. So
Nice. Yeah, that's great.
wrapper.
All right. So yeah, wrapper, we can just say display flex, so that all the buttons are together. We can give it a gap of like 1 em, to just get them spaced apart a little
Cool.
bit. And justify items, space around. This will center them under the canvas, or actually in the page
Is it
probably.
space?
Justify content. Yeah, space around. Um,
Is it a hyphen?
a space dash around. Yeah. Justify items. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that should do it.
Is it justify content?
You can try it.
Yeah. And that changed it.
There we go. There we
Is
go.
that what we're
That's
looking
fine.
for?
Yeah, that's great.
Cool. All right.
And then for our button class, let's just give them a width of like 14, something like that, width of 14 em.
Cool.
That should be good. And then let's give them padding of like 2em, 1em, 3em. Give it a little more padding on the bottom.
Nice.
Less on the sides. That should be good. And then let's give it border, like solid 1em. Just yellow for now. It's good.
Cool. I do have this if you're interested. That is
Yes.
an available thing. Totally up to
Yes.
you though. Okay.
No, that's perfect.
You're in?
And
All right,
then
cool.
yes, let's add a border radius. So like 1em, border radius 1em, 1em, 50%, 50%.
And you know that I am like the least metal person around. When I had to Google fonts metal or like heavy metal, and this one's called metal. I'm like, that seems metal to me, so that's how I chose
Yeah,
it.
I dig it. We could probably bump the font size up on those a little bit,
Cool.
but kind of making some Guitar Hero buttons
Yeah,
here.
love it. Definitely see that. What do you think of her font size?
Uh, just like 1.5 rim is probably good. Rim is kind of the root elements units. Yeah, that looks pretty good to me. Pretty good to me. And so what we can do as well, so Burger Maker, in that main style area,
Okay.
target the canvas and just say display block and margin 1em auto, because canvas is display inline block by
Got it.
default,
I
or
don't know if I
display
knew that
inline
offhand.
maybe. Yep.
It's not what I would expect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, images and canvas and SVG are all inline, so
Got it.
that they can just kind of line up everything. It feels like our gap is not working there. We can probably add a margin 1em to each of the buttons, or
I'm wondering if
to
they
the
got
buttons.
did they get too big? What?
It might be. So for the padding, you can say instead of 1em for the sides, just like point 1,
0.1?
point 5.
Oh, cool. Yeah, it seems like they're filling the space or
Oh,
something.
yeah. Say like flex 0 1 auto.
Got it.
That should prevent them from growing and keep them centered.
Weird.
Did it? Nope, nothing.
Weird. Why is that happening? We don't have to spend too much time on that. I can figure that out
Yeah.
off camera. That's looking fun though.
Yeah. But yeah, we've got plenty of fun little bits there, and you can tie these to keyboard events so you can actually play it with a Guitar Hero controller. Make your
Oh,
own
that's so good.
burger. You can
Oh my God.
add different ingredients if you want. Make multiple pickles, add them to the scene. Using that make chain function for just small little pickles. Yeah, there's a lot of fun ways you can kind of expand on this and make it even more fun. But that's a
I love the
solid little
idea of like
burger build.
a is it Mama's Kitchen? What's the
Cooking
show?
Mama. Oh,
Yeah.
I'm thinking of the video game.
I'm thinking of Overcooked.
Cooking.
Yeah. So like
Yeah, Overcooked.
Overcooked or Cooking Mama, one of those games where it's like this person wants a burger with pickles, ketchup, and relish, and you have to put it together, and then like and Overcooked kind of the same way, but like you getting a certain order of like bun, patty, lettuce, pickles, and you have to play it on. That would be a lot of fun. I mean, it would probably be okay. You'd probably play it for like 10 minutes, but it would be a lot of fun to make and be like, look,
What a
this is
glorious 10 minutes it
ridiculous.
would be. Yes.
That's such a cool idea, Shaw. Thank you so much for
Awesome.
coming on and putting this together. You have a kind of like final version that you've created, right?
Yeah, it's essentially what we've built here.
Yeah.
Just kind of working off of that. It's not super styled or anything, but it does have some
But
fun elements. I'll share the link.
yeah, would you mind sharing that with the chat just so they can do what
Yeah,
I'm doing because they're watching me fling it like an idiot and I'm
make it
sure they
public.
want to do the same thing and I just won't push this
Yeah,
quick enough. So if you don't
yeah.
mind sharing that, thank you so much.
There you go.
Yeah, it's just a lot of physics are fun. So I'm so glad you came on and did this. I had the same giddy childlike thing with Liam Egan's component. He came on and built this awesome ball pit where you can click and balls fly around, and it was just a whole bunch of fun. So anytime you've got physics involved, it's just a good time. So thank you so much.
Yeah.
When's the next Keyframers episode?
We were gonna reschedule this week because of the Monday holiday, but it probably will just end up being next Monday.
All right.
We'll probably be back in doing some
Awesome.
animation then.
And Keyframers. You can
Yeah,
follow
so you can reach us at keyframe.rs. That has links to kind of all of our stuff. And yeah,
Nice.
we live stream on YouTube. And yeah, you can find us there.
Yeah, honestly, a fantastic show. You had Cassie Evans on the last episode, I believe, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
that was
Just
very fun.
yeah. So please follow Shaw and David over on YouTube. I think everyone in this chat probably already is, but still, I would still love to throw you one person and say, I got you there. Did you hit 10K?
We did, yeah. I think before the end of the year, or right at
Right, that's what it
January,
was.
we hit that.
Yeah,
It's been
10.3.
awesome to see.
Fantastic. Well, Shaw, thank you so much. Anything else you want to
Yeah.
plug before we go?
No, I think that's good.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Thank
check out CodePen if you're unfamiliar. That link that I sent in the chat will
Code Pen?
get you
Is
there.
that
It's an up and coming site.
Oh, it's like a little
for
project you got
building
going on?
code. Yeah, trying
That's
to get
cool.
it off the ground. Yeah.
Yeah, honestly, it's legendary, right? It's CodePen. So, yeah, we're gonna go raid Colby Fayok. Fantastic guy. Has a great show. Let's go hit him up. So don't go anywhere. But thank you for being here. Hit that follow button, and we will see you next week. All right. Take care.
Bye.
I always say take care, and then it's like get ready to raid in 6 seconds. So just let's pretend I forgot my keys. I'm coming back. Just 1 sec. Hold on. 1 sec. All right.
Oh, yeah.
Now goodbye. All right. I always do that.